Welcome back to The Critique. Today, we are deep diving into a piece of rhetoric that is, frankly, intense.
That's a good word for it.
We're looking at a sermon by called Compelled by Christ. The basic idea is that true faith demands total sacrifice and submission, but the subtext is just screaming high control.
It really is. I'm ready. This document is fascinating because it checks almost every box for what you might call the cult leader archetype. It's charismatic, it's demanding, but it's also deeply fragile.
That fragility, that's exactly where I want to start. The first thing that just jumps out is the us versus them dynamic.
Of course.
And look, every group needs boundaries, right? You need to know who's in and who's out. But this text, it doesn't just define the outsider, it actively dehumanizes them.
It does. And it feels very, very specific to the speaker's own insecurities.
No.
He doesn't just call former members people who left.
No.
He calls them liars, swindlers, and then he uses this really strange, repetitive phrase, brother, brother.
Right, let me find that. He says, he was a brother, but he's a brother, 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 if you know what I'm saying. And then he calls one person soy sauce on a sea of rice.
That line, soy sauce on a sea of rice, it just stopped me cold.
Yeah.
It's vivid, I'll give him that. It paints a picture. But think about what's happening there. You're describing a human being as a contaminant that ruins the meal. It's a classic dehumanization tactic.
It strips them of any complexity.
Exactly. They're just a pollutant now. And the brother, brother thing?
It feels like a rhythmic, mocking chant.
It's an inside joke. If you get it, you're in the tribe. But here's the risk. You aren't debating their ideas, you're just attacking their existence. To a modern ear, that doesn't sound like spiritual authority.
It sounds like a bully.
It sounds like a bully. It signals you can't win on the facts, so you have to win on the insults.
But is it effective? I mean, if I'm in that audience, I'm thinking, I definitely don't want to be the soy sauce.
It creates compliance, yes, but it's what's called fragile superiority. If the group is perfect, the person who leaves has to be evil. There's no middle ground.
So you're either a saint inside or a swindler outside.
Right. But the second you meet one nice person who left, the whole thing just collapses. It's a huge gamble.
So the weakness is that painting all opposition as bitter or lazy just makes the speaker sound paranoid. How do we fix this without losing that call to high commitment?
You have to shift the narrative from anger to sorrow.
Okay.
Instead of attacking the character of the people who leave, you highlight the difficulty of the path. Frame their departure as a tragic loss of potential, not as an act of malice.
Can you give me an example of how that might sound?
Sure. Instead of calling the brother, brother a fake, you could say something like, the path we walk is incredibly steep. It requires everything. And sadly, not everyone chooses to finish the climb. We miss them, but we cannot stop.
That's a massive tonal shift. It keeps the exclusivity, we are the ones still climbing, but it just drops the petty name-calling.
Exactly. And get rid of the soy sauce anecdote. It's just mean.
Yeah.
And reframe the swindler's part. Instead of saying they love to be bitter, argue that the spiritual demands here are just too high for the average person. It shifts from they are bad to this is hard. It actually flatters the people who stay.
Right, it makes them feel like elite athletes, not prison guards.
Precisely.
Okay, let's move to the second major issue. This is about the definition of love. The whole sermon is about being compelled by Christ. And he uses the word agape, but the way he defines it creates some serious cognitive dissonance.
This was the part that gave me rhetorical whiplash.
Yeah.
He starts with a pretty standard point. Love is an action, not a feeling. Okay, we're on board. But then, almost immediately, the action he focuses on is shunning, expulsion.
It's such a sharp turn. He goes from Christ's love compels us, straight to the instruction to hand this man over to Satan.
And he mocked modern ideas of love. It creates this logic loop where love just equals punishment. And then he layers on this spiritual dad concept.
Oh, that line, I'm not your dad, I'm your spiritual dad. Don't talk to them like a peer.
Right, it conflates family love with a rigid hierarchy. It says, I love you like a father, so obey me like a general.
It just exposes the mechanism of control so nakedly. One minute it's affection, the next it's about being above question. It makes love feel like a threat.
It does. If you don't obey the spiritual dad, you get the action of love, which is getting kicked out.
For anyone who doesn't know, hand over to Satan is biblical language for excommunication. But the way he uses it feels almost triumphant.
It feels clinical, like a surgical removal. And that's the problem. The jump is too abrupt. You can't go from, Jesus loves you, to get out in 30 seconds.
So how do you rewrite this? Keep the theology, but lose the coercion.
You have to earn the right to punish. Before you introduce hand him over to Satan, you need to spend way more time on the family affection part. You need to build emotional capital.
Show us how you love them before you tell us how you kick them out.
Yes! And the hierarchy? That don't talk to me like a peer line?
It screams insecurity.
Totally. A true leader doesn't need to say that. Instead of the aggressive approach, frame the hierarchy as a mentorship burden.
Something like, I carry a weight for you that a peer can't.
Exactly. As a spiritual father, I carry the weight of your growth, which means sometimes I have to say the hard things. It achieves the same authority, but frames it as service, not dominance.
And the hand over to Satan part?
You rephrase it to emphasize that the goal is saving the person's spirit, not the act of expulsion. It should sound like a painful last resort, something the church does with tears, not cheers.
Right. If you cheer when you cut someone off, you're not a doctor, you're a butcher.
That's a powerful way to put it. Okay, third critique, information control. This is a classic hallmark of these kinds of groups.
And he's so explicit about it.
Oh yeah, the narrative warfare section. He warns everyone not to become an internet narrative junkie. He dismisses ChatGPT, online comments, all of it.
And he uses that story about George Whitfield, the preacher who got a vicious letter and just said, I know worse things about myself.
It's such a clever rhetorical trick. It's a thought-terminating cliché. It sounds profound. You know, I'm a wretch, so your insults don't matter. But it doesn't actually answer the accusation.
It's a total deflection.
It is. And the bigger weakness here is the Streisand effect. By telling the audience the internet is dangerous and full of lies about him, he's practically begging them to go Google him.
He is. It just signals that his authority is fragile. If the truth is so strong, why can't it withstand a Reddit thread?
And he sounds so defensive. There's that line, I thought I was going to get more persecution. People are calling me praying. It's like he's doing damage control for a controversy half the room probably didn't even know about.
He's introducing it himself.
Exactly. So the suggestion here is to inoculate, not prohibit. You cannot ban the internet in 2026. It makes you look fearful.
So instead of don't be an internet junkie, what's the better play?
You project supreme confidence. Say something like, the internet offers many easy answers, but we are here for the hard truth. You frame the internet as shallow, not dangerous.
Ooh, that's a crucial difference. You're changing it from sin to noise.
Correct. And when you talk about your own persecution, frame the critics as misinformed, not malicious. It makes the leader look magnanimous, not besieged.
And get rid of that defensive line about expecting persecution.
Yes, replace it with a focus on the mission. While the world talks, we work. That's so much stronger.
Okay, on to our fourth and final point, financial and lifestyle liquidation. This is where the rubber meets the road.
This is the skin in the game argument. He talks about how he sold our home, liquidated savings. He's establishing his credentials.
But then he turns it on the members. He criticizes people for shopping online or caring about discounts. He mocks job security, getting a master's degree.
It's a classic false dilemma. Option A is you sell everything and move to a foreign country for God. Option B is you're a godless consumer who cares more about a discount on Vinted than your soul.
There is no option C, which is I'll work my job and tithe to support the mission.
Exactly. And that's so dangerous because he's shaming the very people who fund the organization. He literally says, you want to stay and pay? Okay, I'm going to stay and pray. For your faint-heartedness.
Wow. That's biting the hand that feeds you.
It insults the donor base. He compares saving someone from a civil war, which is undeniably high stakes, to someone buying a Nando's chicken. Normal life becomes a sin.
So how do you fix this? Because he clearly wants to motivate people to give more.
You have to validate the sacrifices people are already making before you ask for more. You can't shame people into generosity. You have to inspire them.
So don't mock the stay and pay people.
No, elevate them. Acknowledge that staying and paying is a valid role, but position the sent out role as a higher, aspirational calling. You need that base tier to fund everything.
That's just logistical reality.
Right. And for the attack on shopping online, reword it. Instead of mocking the discount, contrast the fleeting joy of a purchase with the eternal joy of the mission.
So like that discount saves you £5 for a moment, this mission saves a soul forever.
Exactly. It keeps the pressure on, but it removes the shame. You want them to give because they're inspired, not because they're afraid of being called faint-hearted.
Let's pull back and look at the so what here. This whole text is powerful. It uses repetition, high-stakes imagery. It's designed to overwhelm you.
It is. The speaker is very skilled at creating an immersive emotional environment. But the risk with this kind of rhetoric is that it burns the fuel too fast.
What do you mean by that?
When you rely on us versus them, hand over to Satan, and don't look at the internet, you're building a pressure cooker. It works for a short burst of high intensity, but it's brittle. It has no resilience.
Because it's just built on compliance?
It's built on the assumption that the leader is infallible and the outside world is evil. The moment one crack appears, one brother who wasn't a liar, one internet search that turns out to be true, the whole structure can collapse.
The fragile superiority, again. It's a house of cards made of iron. It looks strong, but it can't bend.
Precisely. Resilience requires nuance, the ability to handle criticism without hiding from it.
So, to recap, we have a sermon that is high-octane, persuasive, but really dangerous in its methodology.
Correct. We identified 4 main fixes. First, stop dehumanizing the people who leave. Mourn them. Don't mock them.
Second, bridge the gap between love and punishment. Give us a roadmap, not whiplash.
Third, stop banning the internet. Inoculate against it by offering a deeper truth, not a blindfold.
And fourth, stop shaming the donors. Validate their sacrifice and invite them to do more.
The goal is to move from a rhetoric of coercion, which relies on fear and shame, to a rhetoric of genuine conviction.
Right. You want to persuade, not brainwash. Right now, this text feels a bit too much like a cage disguised as a kingdom.
A cage disguised as a kingdom, that's the takeaway.
We invite the listener to refine this rhetoric. We'd love to see a revised draft where that internal engine is fueled by genuine belief, not the fear of being a brother.
Absolutely. Refine the fuel, and the engine will run a lot longer.
Submit your work back in again for more feedback. We look forward to seeing it. Thanks for listening.
Keep writing.